Danny Gaffon, Pro Boxing Fan, delighted to be joined by Eddie Hearn. We've just had the Jack Catterall, Arnold Barboza Jr. press conference. Eddie didn't quite catch fire as much as the live head-to-head the other week.
Yeah, I think they're done. I mean, actually, after the head-to-head, Arnold Barboza went to me, that's like the 20th face-off, like we've done so far since I've been here. I said, don't worry, one more at the weigh-in tomorrow, and then you get to fight. So, yeah, look, good build-up, great fight. Great fight. I mean, one of the top fights in the division. And Jack's done it all, really. You know, he should have been undisputed in the first place, but now he's had to go through Linares, Josh Taylor again, Regis Prograis, and now Barboza, 31-0. It's number 1 v number 2 in the division, and a great undercard as well. Great night of boxing.
Huge ramifications, of course, the WBO interim on the line. I spoke to Jamie Moore last week, and he said, obviously, Teofimo Lopez holds the full version of that fight. He doesn't expect Teo to fight the winner, obviously, in his eyes, Jack Catterall, and that Jack could end up being elevated to full world champion, which he said would be a shame. Do you understand that point of view?
I think you should always want, and they always want, to beat the champion. But I think if you look at Jack's wins, like, you couldn't begrudge him. This fight for me should be for the world title. And, you know, Teo may end up fighting the winner, if that's what Riyadh sees him want. But obviously we've got Richardson Hitchens as well. That would be a unification fight. So we'll have to see. But there is a very good chance that the winner of this fight could be elevated and become world champion.
Just last one on this card. We saw obviously Michael Gomez Jr. and Reece Blood. Are we almost surprised, because there was a point where you go, Reece, you don't believe it, and then he went, yeah, I do believe it, but there's stick one.
Well, I think really, like, the story's changed. You know, what Reece didn't believe was that all of a sudden Gomez just didn't feel well in a change room and they stopped the fight. Gomez said, I was rough all week. He goes, and it got worse and worse, and that makes sense. But that's the first time I've ever heard that. Do you know what I mean? And some of the story made sense, some of it didn't. I mean, it's all irrelevant. But interestingly, Gomez is saying, you know what, if I would have fought that night, I would have got stopped. Now I'm going to bash you up. And it's a brilliant, brilliant domestic fight for the British and Commonwealth title, as is Pat McCormack against Robbie Davis, as is Zelfa Barrett against Jazza Dickens. Really good undercard and a brilliant main event.
Just away from Saturday night, just some comments from Johnny Nelson I want to get your reaction to. Starting around Anthony Joshua, he said that AJ or his team were actively swerving the Dubois rematch. Just your response to that.
I mean, Johnny Nelson, I mean, I love Johnny Nelson, by the way, and I've known him since I was a kid. Can be a right plonker sometimes. I mean, firstly, the team does not decide who Anthony Joshua fights. Anthony Joshua decides who he fights. Anthony Joshua unequivocally wants to fight Daniel Dubois. We could never stop him. Like, do you really think in a world, I know Johnny Nelson had some strange, dealings with promoters growing up, and I think probably didn't actually get what he deserved out of the sport necessarily. Where Anthony Joshua goes, I want to fight Daniel Dubois, and I go, no, Anthony, you are not fighting Daniel Dubois, and he goes, all right then. We all talk as a team. I want him to fight Daniel Dubois. Don't get me wrong, I know it's a dangerous fight. You can't criticise me. On one hand, I'm gung-ho with my matchmaking and put everybody in. We fought Alexander Usyk twice. We didn't have to take that fight as mandatory. Do you know what I mean? He will fight Daniel Dubois. He wasn't ready to fight on February 22nd. He's not even in full camp now, physically. So, I don't understand this whole, they're all swerving Daniel Dubois. No, we're not. We will fight Daniel Dubois. We will fight Joe Parker. We will fight Tyson Fury. He will fight Martin Bakole. He will fight Deontay Wilder. It's all on AJ. Why about the team? He's a big boy. He makes the decisions. We give him our opinion. My opinion is, I love the rematch. Take it. I think you can beat him. And it's for the World Heavyweight Championship. So, yeah. Come on, Johnny. Stop that.
There we go. Just met Lee Wood, bumped into him there at the interview. I remember when there was a talk of the Warrington rematch, and from yourself and Frank Smith, I think, were saying at the time that couldn't get made because of financial demands on Lee's side. He's refuted that. He said that's not true. He wouldn't divulge the reasons for that rematch not happening and you not getting them.
It's exactly the reason. I mean, we made him an offer for the rematch. He said it wasn't enough money. Well, I don't know what else there is to tell you. I mean, that's it. Josh Warrington agreed the rematch, and the absolute truth of the situation. And I don't blame Lee, by the way. We did the first fight. We lost quite a bit of money on the first fight. Didn't quite sell quite what we thought it would, and we paid both guys a lot of money, particularly Lee. He vacated the belt. The fight was no longer for a world championship. he wanted more money than he got in the first fight, and I said, unfortunately, we have to give you a little bit less money than you got in the first fight. And he said, well, I'm not taking it for less money in the first fight, and that was it. We never fell out. And I think I don't blame him for having that thought, because you'd naturally think, well, I can't be getting less than the first fight, but the financials of the show showed, and with no world title, that's the money in the pot. So yes, it was only about money, and that's the only reason that was Leigh Wood's last fight with Matchroom, because we couldn't agree a deal financially for a year, and it's my fault because I overpaid him in the first place. But he done very well. He's a lovely man, great fighter, and I wish him all the best, and it's a good fight.
A couple of quick ones. Just Joe Cordina, any conversations about a fight for Joe? What can you tell us?
Not really. I mean, look, Joe earned a huge amount of money against Anthony Cacace and wants a huge amount of money to fight again. So he's got to be in the right fight. That money's there if the fight presents itself. My worry is, when was the Cacace fight? April, something like that? May? Yeah. So you're coming up to a year out the ring. So I'd love to see Joe back in the ring. If we do a 5v5, there was talks of him fighting Sam Noakes, and Joe's also a free agent. I'm sure he's talking to other people as well. Love to have him back on, but obviously it's got to make sense for everybody, particularly Joe. But I think Joe's really just in the sport for the big fights, and sometimes they're not actually there, and you've got to have another fight, and can he be bothered to do that if the money's not what he wants to fight for?
Just last one, don't want to end on a sombre note, Eddie, but some bad news this morning about Joe Gallagher. Just a word on Joe's health situation.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it makes everybody's stomach turn, that obviously someone and someone that is still a relatively young man, really, fit, and, gets diagnosed with that. So everybody's thoughts are with him, and I think regardless of who works with who and who likes who, like, boxing is one big family. And I messaged him this morning. I just said to him, he's one of the most stubborn bastards I know, Joe Gallagher. So I said, you'll be just fine. So may God bless him, and we wish him all the best.
Eddie, thanks for your time, appreciate it.